Alrighty, folks, welcome back to another episode of Live in fucking 5, baby. It is the pre-show. It is episode number 74, and joining the program later today is Jonny Lazarus, who is the beat writer, the pulse of the New York Rangers, the New York Strangers, as I call them over here at Live in 5. But before we get to Johnny, the Laz machine does stuff with the Daily Faceoff, obviously with the league. He's doing the BR and Bleacher Report. He does everything, Azo. So he is the official correspondent of the Metro Division and obviously the New York Rangers.
Former college hockey player.
Yeah, a little cup of Joe. He was being a little insecure about his elite prospects because I was chirping him a little bit on, kind of the week leading up to him, like, holy fuck, what happened that year in 17-18 and in UMass? He had a decent freshman year.
I thought it was a pretty good freshman year.
9 points. I mean, that's not bad.
8 games. I mean, my freshman year is worse, Jordo. So,
yeah, like he had a solid campaign that year. And then he said that Greg Carville came in and kind of changed the ship. Obviously, Cale McCarr followed that. So we'll get into all of that later on. Obviously, this is the pre-show, episode number 74, folks. We are recording. It is Wednesday night. Azo, you are in Maple Lake or are you in Forks?
Forks.
Okay. So you made it to EGF.
I made her here. And of course, Jordo, it's blizzarding. It's a blowing and a snowing out there, Jordo. As always, it follows me every time I come back to Forks. I don't think it's like this every single day, but every day I come back, it's like this.
So did you get the call for men's night on Wednesday?
I didn't. As of right now, this will come out, but as of right now, I don't think anyone really knows I'm in town, and I played it that way because it's what is it, Wednesday night right now for me, and I don't want any part of a Grand Forks Wednesday night. Now I might get called out for that, but I've got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow, so I just can't afford to hang with the big dogs tonight.
Yeah, and those professionals, they have a lot of shit to do too, because a lot of them highly successful, but they play better hung, and I don't know how they do it.
More professional. Yeah,
because they're 20 odd years older than us.
They're just legends of the game,
I got guys in Grand Forks calling me, and we'll get into later in the show of what we're going to talk about. But I got guys in Grand Forks calling me, asking me what's going on with Louis Jamrnik. What's like? First of all, if I knew, that would be the last people I would tell because that's going to spread like wildfire. And I don't want to get into the specifics of.
No one knows, Jordan. He just didn't go on the trip to St. Cloud. It said he was scratched. And I don't know how often you scratch the captain of the team. So obviously everyone in the stands in St. Cloud this weekend was wondering, but who knows?
He didn't get arrested. Let's put it that way. There are those rumors out there, and we're not trying to spread our own over here. I don't know. I haven't talked to Malt about it. I'm just kind of staying out of the weeds. But, yeah, that is on the UND front. Azo, we're always brought to you by Mini Movers. Butter Golf Mini Movers, the official moving company of Live in 5, baby, as well as Butter Golf, the official golf and lifestyle apparel brand over here at Live in 5. And always brought to you by Gladiator Therapeutics. Again, Gladiator Therapeutics is the official neurologic wellness sponsor over here at Live in 5. Azo, speaking of golf, well, it is the biggest weekend of the year down here in Scottsdale. Beautiful weather. As you know, last year was an absolute debacle, the most arrest ever at a Waste Management. The weather was shitty. It looked and felt, and just everything about the aura of it was just ratchet. It felt like I was in Panama City Beach. Felt like I was hanging out with a bunch of Irish travelers, those guys that fought Biz Nasty a couple months ago. Just a bunch of just goons and mutants. But this year has a different vibe. Today was 80 degrees, the practice round, the old Pro-Am, as they always do on Wednesday. I was bombing around, just doing my pre-scout. Wednesday, staying off the gas, but just scouting it out. Went over to 18, said what up to Mel Booker. That's D-Book's dad. Always loved chopping it up with him. Then went over to 16. And on 16, on the Pro-Am day, Azo, they do this shootout where at the end of the round, as it concludes, they bring all the celebrities in, and they do a closest to the pin challenge, and it's a
Really?
giveaway for charity. So there were some pretty nasty players. My favorite, they saved the best for last.
Yep.
Michael Phelps. You might have heard of him.
Oh,
And
yeah. And that Pro-Am looks pretty sick because it looked like you can get up pretty close to these guys.
yeah, and just with who I'm hanging out with, and it was actually Coach Dar who got me in. So these guys, the Thunderbirds, they basically run the whole entire tournament. I don't know if the people listening know who the Thunderbirds are, but they're basically all the guys, this committee of dudes that puts on the waste management, from the security to the venue to the tournament. They put on this whole thing. It's a select group of, I think it's like 200 guys and 55 active members. So it's guys in and around the age from 40 to 60. And if you're under 45, you are called upon to do active duty. And I think there's 55 to 70 of these guys bombing around. They wear these velour jackets. They have these kind of different style belts. Like, when you see them, and they put on this venue. And the criteria to be a Thunderbird is like, you have to be a millionaire. You have to do some sort of community service work. Oh yeah. They're all big timers, and you have to be local.
Sick. And they're they're just running the show,
and they run the whole show.
So this is pretty much, I mean, they're obviously successful outside of this event, but then they take off however many months just to get this thing going and run it.
Yeah, and you have to be like drafted in. You can't apply for the job. You have to be called in for duty, and the only way that they bring in new guys is if dudes die off. So until you're 45 years old, so there's a pocket of like, say you got recruited to be a Thunderbird at 37. Until you're 45, that is when you have to do all the service for the waste management. And then after 45, you become like a lifetime bird where you can basically just get shit-faced for 4 to 7 days and just you're not have to do anything, but you get all access to everything. They have a little Thunderbird lounge where they have IVs, food, just the whole shebang. So like, you can get a massage. That's the place last year where I got the IV while I was boozing. It was in the Thunderbird lounge. So these guys just run they run the whole tournament. And
what a gig.
Yeah. So the connection we have, or, a guy I know a little bit, is actually a former NHLer, Darcy Hordichuk. You remember that name?
Oh yeah. This thing's got to have like a documentary made on it or something. This is sick.
Yeah, and I think back in the day, Oz, it was like a total old boys club where
these guys just Arizona guys. Like it's not, they don't do other events. This is just kind of the only event they do, the Fireballs.
Yep. You have to be local. You have to be an Arizona guy. And the guy that I know, or a little bit, is Darcy Hordichuk. So this year, and you always rotate jobs. So one year you might be the head of security. Another year you might be the head of tickets. This year Hordichuk is the head of security. So this guy's like bombing around, talking to all the cops. They have hired ex-military guys as all their security guys at every gate. It's a full-on fucking like full-time job.
They got to create their own rules that they want there. They want it to get rowdy, but they also got to put in place rules, and that'd be a lot.
And they put in new entrances this year, so it's a lot easier to get in. The security is way tighter. There's more cops. And yeah, man, this Thunderbirds is it's not a secret society, but it kind of feels that way when these guys, it's like a fraternity of rich dudes, but also in the same sense have an impact in the community. Like they like the criteria to be one of these guys is you have to do like, X amount of different things in the community, give back. So they're all, relatively on paper good dudes, right? But I think when this first started off, especially with the Phoenix Open down here, it was just like the old boys club of just like back room. Let's get the mirror out. Let's do some powder and just run. You know what I mean? Like
70s, 80s shit,
Yes. And they've cleaned that up, obviously, with the times and how everything's changed. But yeah, so this week, man, it's going to be nuts. That Pro-Am, I think the other guy that I was waiting to see was Nate Diaz, but Nate Diaz didn't show up. They're like, Nate Diaz up on the tee, and they're like, well, looks like Stockton's finest didn't make it. And they had that guy. that the freestyle rapper guy that like introduces people.
Yeah,
he was on the tee box, calling everyone out. MGK. Oh man,
MGK.
Yes,
Machine Gun Kelly. How is he looking?
He said it was like he was looking bad, dude. He looked like he was 60.
Yeah, dude. Last pictures I've seen of him, sometimes he just looks so sick.
Yeah. What's wrong with him?
I don't know. It's tough.
Jeez. It's called drugs, Dewey, and you don't want none of this.
Yeah.
Shooter McGavin tugged one so hard left. Ronald tugged one, Azo. He actually tugged it into the grandstand, and it went out of the grandstand and hit a Ford Raptor Bronco.
No.
That was like on display. Yeah, that it was a frozen rope, dude.
Shooter McGavin did this.
Shooter, yes.
Dude, Shooter McGavin, that's so funny. This guy's going to all these events like Pro-Am at the Waste Management. This guy, what is he's literally only been in Happy Gilmore, right? Like, is he known for anything else?
He's been in like 2 other movies. I remember looking it up, like, and I'll look it up like once a year just to because I always see him bombing around at different golf events. I'm like, how much money do you think this guy's actually made, and how much is he making just off royalties and appearance fees now?
Well, I mean, yeah, like he's making a living off it, which is so sick. It shows how crazy like of a character Shooter McGavin was in Happy Gilmore. Like everyone knows him that golfs.
He was just with just a 26-year-old rocket too. Like, I'm not sure if he's dating her, if that's his girl, but I'm pretty sure she's just a part of the bit. You know what I mean? Like that's who he travels with, just some rocket in a cheetah dress. So yeah, that was funny. Jimmy Rollins had a decent shot. That Bob Does Sports guy didn't get on the tee. He kind of went B Rabbit style where he kind of choked up, and I don't think he wanted to take a swing. But that his buddy, that Fat Perez, was there. The foreplay guys from Barstool.
Bob Does Sports couldn't even take a swing.
No, he didn't swing it.
Why?
Soft. Those
just didn't want to, or like he got. I mean, that's if you're offered a swing, why not just take the cut?
I don't know. He didn't swing them. Those Nerd Biscuits from Barstool there too. The foreplay guys like Frankie Borelli, those guys. I'm trying to think of some other names that were there, but I wanted to see Nate Diaz. He just, I don't know. He must have got too high, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's classic.
You can't really. He's not really a guy you'd rely on to show up to an event if you invited him somewhere. You know, you're just like, will Nate show up? I don't know.
Did Nate? Yeah. Did Nate even think about coming? Does Nate know where he is? Is Nate okay? Nobody knows.
No, that's the best part about him. Sometimes he comes off like he actually might be smart, kind of knows what he's talking about. But then the other time you're like, is he okay?
Yeah, when he catches a good strain of sativa and it's early in the morning and he mixes that with some coffee, he can put together a sentence. But other than that, I don't know. Azo, dude, I know you're happily engaged but man, if you're like a 40-year-old dude and somehow you're still single or you're coming off a divorce, the Waste Management has got to be the number one place to meet somebody because the Cougs walking around, it's just insane. The Cougs.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, you put yourself in the 40-year-old cougar shoes.
Yes.
If you're still hot as a 40-year-old girl and you're single, you're heading down to the Waste Management because why not? You're gonna find whatever it is you're looking for.
Yeah, you're gonna find the one night pay for play, the one, and who knows, you could find, your next ex-husband or boyfriend or whoever it may be. But the guys on that front on the other side are all hilarious too because I never understood. Like, I went in a Viore t-shirt and a pair of just gym shorts today because that's what I wear, and it was hot as hell. But the guys, it just amazes me every year that nobody knows how to dress at a golf event. It's like, why do you wear Bad Birdie head to toe or Peter Millar or the old Travis Matthews? It's like, you're not playing, dude. You don't have to wear the khaki slacks or the moisture wicking pant. You can just get away with whatever you want to wear, man. And I get that you're at a golf event, and I get that you want your glove on you because you never know. I'm a big Franklin guy myself, and you never know if you're going to be called in for duty. But why did you try to get your putter through security? You're not here to play, man.
So good, though. Yeah, just dressed up. It's so good. It's like, I always relate it to it. This is where it's funny. You head to a baseball game dressed as a baseball player.
Yes.
Like, how does that look? It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's like the guy that brings his glove to the baseball game and just he's not even sitting remotely close to left or the right field wall, but he's got his glove just in case it comes over the netting. And also today I actually saw a guy milling in just the general pop area. He was going to go to the, the shitter or the porter potty.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a couple of drinks and he actually pulled out a ball marker and marked his drink. It's like, you just marking your spot? Like, what are you doing here, guy? Like you can't just mark your spot with a ball marker. Like, what are we doing?
Shut up.
Yeah, he marked his spot. It's like, dude, someone's gonna take that. You can't just mark your spot.
I mean, that is kind of classy of him though.
Yeah.
Like, hey boys, I was here. I'm marking my spot. I gotta go do something quick, but there's a line. I'm coming back. This is my spot. Just stand behind. That's insane.
I love the guys too that come in with the rangefinder. They're like getting numbers for the guys. Yeah, it's 142. It's like, dude, he's got a caddy.
Wait, there's actually guys that go with rangefinders.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good. I guess you're watching, you get it. You try to guess what club he's hitting if you're into, the golf as much. But yeah, that's a different level, I guess.
It's hilarious, dude. This weekend is just so funny here. Like Scottsdale, like it's not sleepy, obviously, because there's a ton of people down here in the snowbirds, but this weekend reminds you of just how many people come to the desert for this event. And obviously then the Super Bowl is always on Sunday. And when the Super Bowl is here, it's even crazier, but it's just, you forget how big this event is. And you forget at one point we had the live golf guys in it and we had like legitimate, really, really good players. Not that there still aren't the big dogs with Scotty and some of the boys, but like even like Rory doesn't come anymore. I mean, I used to love seeing Dustin Snow Johnson, Koepka in the mix. Like this tournament needs all the big boys, whatever tour they're on, and they should all play in this, man.
I can't believe Rory doesn't play there. He just doesn't. He just doesn't like the loud crowd, or
I think so. Yeah, I think he's kind of like.
Is that it though? Be like, who doesn't love a loud crowd as a player?
Especially a chance to tee it up.
Are they like dicks there? Or?
What's that?
Are they like dicks, like the fans?
No,
no, players. Like
no, not at all. I mean, no, I mean, there's going to be the odd drunk guys that yell out in your backswing, and you have to kind of shush them a little bit, but nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, it's People's Open.
Yeah, I feel like they should. I mean, simply because of that hole 16 too, right? Like,
yes,
the stadium hole. I mean, it's just iconic. Like, how do you not play in that tournament?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me, and especially just like who wouldn't want to play in that environment? And every year they add like a new grandstand. There's grandstands on 16.
I was going to ask that. Did they add this year from last year, or like does it keep growing, or has it stayed the same for a while?
I think it stayed the same for the last couple of years. They removed the bottle blonde tent, which is probably a good thing. It was off at 18 just because like why do you need a club? Like this place is already an absolute disaster. Like you had to cut off all the booze sales in the general public last year. So they got rid of the bottle blonde tent. But other than that, yeah, man, it's 18 is lined both ways, and they have the greenskeeper, aka the Furta keeper, one of my sneaky favorite spots to go and mix it up. But it's not a cheap ticket, man, unless you like know somebody. I mean, I guess the booze is included in some of these clubs, but man, you're paying a pretty price. Like it's
what do you think the average person in there is paying?
Probably $500 a day.
Yeah, that ain't
$350.
I mean, if you can afford it, like it's fun. But yeah, that ain't cheap. That ain't cheap for sure.
The thing is like you can get there at 10 in the morning, and if you're going to pay $500 for a ticket, say on 16, if you have 20 drinks that are doubles at 40 a piece, I mean, there's 400 right there. I mean, I'm not saying everyone's going to have 20 drinks, but you might as well at that rate,
Some guys are.
Right. I mean, even if you have 10, that's still 200, and then your ticket's 300. But the funny thing, Ausmus, is theoretically, you're watching golf on one hole. Not that you're even watching the golf. It's just hilarious to mill around a tournament. You're just standing in one spot.
It's hilarious to be boozing like that at a golf tournament. Like, there are certain sporting events that I feel like are made for boozing, and in golf, like if it doesn't really like, I wouldn't want to be blacked out at like Augusta, like stumbling around watching the tournament. But it works at Waste Management. Like you should have a couple of those weekends,
100%. You make a great point. You wouldn't want to like go to Augusta, the mecca of golf,
No,
and just get absolutely bombed, not remember a single thing.
no.
Number one, because you can't even have your phone out technically. So you're not supposed to
Mhm.
be taking pictures. And then if you don't even remember it and say you just like, there's just certain places where that doesn't even make sense. I mean, if you're going to the waste of management, you know what you're signing up for. You're just, I mean, we all know that, right? So
Yeah.
looking forward to it, Ozzo. I think I'm going to step on it probably on Friday and then maybe Saturday, depending on the back-to-backs, bro. It's so hard these days. Like I sound like a pussy, but like
It is tough.
it's
You gotta,
tough.
yeah, it's tough when you stop doing it too. Like I feel like if you keep going and you do it often, you just get back into the rhythm.
Yep.
But once you don't do it a ton anymore, it's hard to hop back into what you used to be. You know?
Yeah, it is. It is. And then your mentality changes because you become softer. So that's the biggest thing is the mentals.
Oh yeah.
Is when you feel that initial hung, because you've always said, even on the golf trip, if you can get through the first day of boozing on that trip, that's the most hung you're going to be, because
For
the
sure.
rest of the trip, you're just drunk. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. You have one sip and you're back in it. Obviously, the day you get home it's going to hit you and you're going to be hung
Yeah.
for a week. But in terms of a bender, if you can get through that first hung, like you're golden.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like at the time, booze when you're hungover really is your medicine to feel good again. You know,
Yes.
and if you do enough of it, sometimes if you're terribly hung, you gotta take a lot of medicine the next day to get back to neutral. But yeah, if you just keep her going when you're on those trips, it's doable. But it is harder on the body, I'll say, the next couple days after. You know,
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes the
it
only way
gets
out is further in.
it's a contact sport. You said it.
It's a contact sport. Wanted to shout out, I don't know if he's listening, but a kid was wearing a butter golf hat. He's from Massachusetts. He was at DraftKings Social. He was drunk as hell. He bought me a Coors Light today, so I just wanted to give that kid a shout out. I'm blanking on his name, but he was a good chin, and he was drunk,
Sick.
and he was wheeling two chicks. So that's just making Butter Golf really proud. Proud owner of the company, Ozzo. Ozzo, what are you doing in Forks? Are you just a business mission? You can stay
Yeah.
for the weekend. Talk to him in that front, fella.
Yeah, business decision. I'm hanging out at my parents' place tonight. I'm gonna stay, I think, at their cabin the next day. I've just got some business in town, checking up on the guys. Also, it's nice to see my parents. So, just came up here for that, and then I'm going back to the cities. I got some work to do Saturday. It's called this Chili Open, and you play golf on Lake Minnetonka, Jordo, and with like a tennis ball, and it's in the snow, and people are boozing. So we're going to that, and then Sunday, obviously, the Super Bowl.
So talk to me. Is the Chili Open, is that you gonna have a few at that? Or are you gonna take it easy? Is the Super Bowl obviously that in its own right? Are you gonna be is that just a stung watch, or are you gonna be going back to back? Like, what are we thinking for our drink count this weekend?
Yeah, I'll see. I mean, I think that the Chili Open, I'll have to. It's one of those events where I'll have to feel out the crowd. You
Yep.
know, whatever the crowd's going with, I think that's what I'm gonna be. And I don't know. I've heard like this crowd likes to have fun. I've heard sometimes not as much fun. So it'll really depend on that. I'm not gonna like set the pace or anything at this thing because I got mini movers kind of on the line, so you can't go like full dummy with it. But
Yeah.
I'll probably watch I don't know. I'm probably just gonna watch a Super Bowl hung
I
and
think so too.
eat some food.
Yeah, that's usually my play. Even like back when I was playing, and I'm not sure how you were with it. I mean, college is different, but pro, I was always just kind of like, I was always so hung usually on that
Mhm.
Sunday, because
Oh,
usually you don't have a game and usually play Saturday. If it goes well, you go out after that, obviously. And then and Sunday, you maybe have a few, but there's always like, fuck, man, we got practice on Monday and a 2 day,
oh,
or like, I
I
mean, I'll
hate
have,
admitting it. I hate admitting it, but there have been a number of Super Bowls that I haven't watched because I've been so hung
yes.
from that Saturday before. It's always a big Saturday before, it feels like.
Yeah, it's almost like Super Saturday, and then you go into that Sunday, and it's just like, just give me some queso to soak up this booze, couple wingies, some chicky, whatever it is, some 7-layer dip, and just get me the fuck out of here because I'm hurting right now, boys. I'm hurting. So, Azo, what are we thinking for this Super Bowl? And I wanted to go into one hitters with the captain. It is the Super Bowl special, and I have a bunch of questions here, my friend, for betting odds purposes. So I'm just going to give you the rundown, and you give it to me, no diddy, in the fashion that you think it's going to go down. So I have for this first one, the over-under hasn't been set yet, but the anthem time. What are you thinking for the anthem?
Oh,
I don't even know who's singing the goddamn anthem. Probably someone New Orleans based.
maybe we can. That's a fun one to bet on too.
Yeah, you never know. I always try to side with the over, just hoping when you get the stopwatch out. It's so fun. It is Jon Batiste, a New Orleans native, is a 5-time Grammy Award winner and 22-time nominee and Academy Award winner. So
John Baptiste.
Johnny Batiste.
Batiste. I don't know if I know that man. I don't know if I know that guy. Do we have? I gotta look up an over under, or do I just gotta guess?
Yeah, I think you just gotta. Yeah, I mean, the official odds aren't out yet, or maybe they are, but I'm not looking at them. I just off your gut, like we don't really know much about Johnny, but it's just a one hitter.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 95 seconds.
95 seconds. Okay. So once we get the official odds in, people
1 minute, 35 seconds. That might be way off. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be a little high, but I like that if he's holding it too,
You never know. Sometimes these Super Bowl singers try to get crazy with it.
I love a good pause between and the home and then just fucking pause. Oh, yeah. 8 seconds. Okay, so we're going to go 95 seconds on that one. I got the first to score and how they score. So Kansas City safety or whatever, because safety always has great odds, but I mean, that's risky. But usually, again, pretty good odds on that. Or what are we thinking for that?
I think Chiefs. Field goal.
Chiefs field goal. Okay, I like that. Who's our kicker again? That Harrison Butker? Kelsey to break the Super Bowl all-time record of Jerry Rice for receptions. He needs 3 to pass.
Oh, pass for sure.
Okay.
Without a doubt. That's a pretty sick stat by Kelsey, too.
Fucking right it is. He's a playoff Kelsey, baby. Patty Mahomes, MVP. Yes or no?
Yes. Auto.
Total score, odd or even number?
I like this. Even.
Color of the Gatorade?
Purple.
Who wins it, and what is the official score?
Chiefs 30-24.
30-24. Okay, so the over would definitely hit on that. Okay. Yep. So that's what I have for you, Azo. There's no way. There's just no way the Chiefs lose and Patty Mahomes doesn't win the MVP. There's just you just can't bet against. How can you bet against
it? You can't bet against it. It would be crazy.
You can't.
You can't. You just can't. I mean, some people are going to think about it, and this is even something, Jordo, where if you lose the bet betting on Patty Mahomes, it's not a dumb bet. If you lose the bet betting against him and he does it again, you're just dumb. Yeah,
and that was just like the Patriots back in the day, man. Even when they were down, whatever it was, 28-3, and you just knew. Oh, yeah. You just knew somehow, some way they were going to chip away at it. It was crazy, but it's like the Chiefs are too good. Their defense is too good. They're just meant to win, Azo. I don't know what to tell you. They're going to win. They're going to find a way. It's going to be a close game. And
it's crazy. But they went. How many games did they lose in the regular season? 1, and then they played their backups and they lost that second one. But they only lost 1 game all year. They're unbelievable again. It's going to be a three-peat. It's insane.
My last one I forgot. I just thought on the spot actually for the one hitter was how many times do they show Taylor Swift throughout the broadcast? Over, under.
That's got to be something you could
17.
17. I mean,
Like it's got to be. You got to think it's 3 a quarter.
if you went
At
seconds,
least.
I would hammer the over on
Right.
17. You know, like 17 seconds.
I'm just saying, like 17 flashes to her. I mean, if Kelsey's having a good game and he breaks that record, you got to think, Ozzo, it's at least 4 a quarter. So that's 16. That might be a little steep. Like the over under probably on most guys' books, if you can get that line, would probably be anywhere from 11 to 13, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would take the over on that.
Yeah. Yeah. They show her so much. It's like, I mean, why wouldn't you too? Because she has so many fans, and you know she is probably one of the biggest. She's one of the biggest people in the world right now. So like that makes her one of the biggest football fans in the world right now because she's a football fan now. How does the NFL not love that? Like you got to go with it if you're an NFL. I know people hate when they show her. I mean, I think it's funny now. I'm like, oh, they're showing her again. Look at this.
How funny is it too? These guys, and we remember we had Nate Ebner on. We talked about it a little bit. Like Super Bowl week is hilarious because the teams get there the Sunday before, and you're just expected to not booze. Like I get that you're playing for the Super Bowl, Ozzo, but why would you want to be in a city for a week before you play? Like, imagine
sounds terrible.
Imagine like if that was how we did it in hockey, or even maybe even take that a step further, or just kind of thinking on different things. Like, imagine if the year you guys won the national championship, you were there in Tampa for a week. Like your class alone, there's no way you guys are staying in.
That would have been horrible.
No, got whacked the first game for sure.
Everyone
so hung.
We would have for sure done. I mean, but yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe you know, I do like we would have been beauties, but we probably would have still got it done. We were just freaking nasty.
Yeah, that's true. And as long as like you're keeping Nikki and Bess in,
we did it enough to like. The problem, like we could do it because we were winning, and it was like, okay, if like we lose, you know, we won't be idiots. We won't do this, but we just kept winning that year. And most, even your junior year, my sophomore year, great times, just winning games.
Yeah, I mean, we used to have parties that were still number one. That was the theme. We're still number one.
The number one in the
number one parties. We're having another number one party. Like Cam Johnson was the ring leader of that. He's like, boys, are we having another number one party? It's like Siege. We just went Saturday, Sunday. Like we're doing a number one party on a Tuesday. Can't we just maybe just do a bachelor night or bachelorette where we're just drinking grapes? She's like, we're not doing another number one party. It's like, no, we got a pretty big weekend here, fella.
Oh, it's so good though.
That is so good.
So good. It goes by so quick when you're there too. It sucks.
Were those boys? Are they at CC this weekend? Or are they at home?
No, they're at home. I wanted to stay and go to the games. I just can't.
Yeah, that CC's no slouch, man. That's a sneaky good team. They got a good goalie.
Yeah, they got some good players. I think nothing against St. Cloud, but I think it'll be a tougher matchup. It didn't look like St. Cloud brought their game last time I was watching them.
St. Cloud was ranked high, though, no?
I mean, they were in the first half. I think they're like 0-8-1 in the last 9 games. Like, it's not good right now.
Yeah, it's not perfect, eh?
I don't know if they're going through injuries, what's going on, but yeah, that's a tough spot to be in, too.
Man, how about the NBA right now? I know we're shifting gears and we're kind of all over the place, folks. Sorry about that. It's Wednesday night. We're just freestyling over here at Live and 5. People love, I think, or maybe not love, but like when we do this. I've gotten good feedback. Dude, the NBA, man. What a league. How funny is it, first off, that LeBron James, who runs the entire league, not only the league, his team, said he had no idea Luka Doncic was going to get traded for Anthony Davis, his teammate. He's like, yeah, I had no idea. What do you mean, dude? You made that trade. Rich Paul is Anthony Davis's agent. That's your guy. What do you mean you had no idea? Fella, you traded AD. We got Luka. And I was talking to Melvin Booker today, Ozzo, which is D Book's dad. Mm-hmm. And he had this theory. He was like, don't be surprised if LeBron ends up in Dallas next year, because LeBron always gives himself an out. He's like, things are going sideways with the Lakers. They're shitty. Now he moves AD to Dallas. Who's there? Kyrie as well. Who's his shooter in the corner? Klay Thompson, like PJ Washington. He's like, don't be
I
surprised.
didn't think about that.
Like, how smart is that by Mel Book? I mean, Mel Book is Mel Book, just one of the swaggiest guys I've ever met.
That's a great angle.
Isn't it? He's like, watch LeBron. He always gives himself an angle.
Yeah, I guess LeBron, I mean, LeBron's always scheming up something, it seems.
Isn't he?
Like, he's always trying, that's why people doubt him. But like, and the fact that he put together the big three, I'm pretty sure he was a big part of like putting those guys together in Miami. And I know people are pissed, but like, that isn't easy. That's a little bit of planning and like strategizing outside of off the court. How many guys are strategizing off the court with like a bunch of players?
Yeah, and he got AD obviously to LA. They got their first championship there. I just think it's so funny, Ozzo, where like for a guy that everyone knows, he comes out with these like just fake ass predictions where he like thinks he predicted something 4 years before it happened. He always talks about, he's like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. It's like, dude, no, you didn't. And then he comes out and says he had no idea that AD was going to be traded. It's like, fella, you were probably in there with Rob Pelinka, Jeannie Buss, and Rich Paul when that trade went through. Like, you can just tell us. Yeah. So funny. So funny.
Oh, it's that trade was so crazy. I mean, Luka Doncic he's a better player than half the NBA teams have never had a player in their entire history as good as Luka Doncic.
No, and it's just
they traded him away.
It's hilarious too. The NBA, it's just like rich tech dudes that are basically just in GM mode on Xbox, and they just sling it however they want. They just wake up and just make a trade. Like KD is allegedly now on the block. Jimmy Buckets, the only guy to ever sit out for a month, gets suspended by his team and then turn around, get traded and signed for $121 million over 2 years. Like, he just got 60 a year for this guy was missing team playing, sitting out, doing whatever he wanted, just pouting, and he's good.
It's what he wants.
Just 121. Yeah, I actually don't want the third year of the player option. Let's just do 2 over 121, and I'll take my 60 and a hook a year, and we can reassess this thing come 2028.
When you're looking at it from the outside, it looks like this guy is such a pussy. You know, like, what is he doing? But you also don't, I guess I don't know what he was going through, but it certainly looks like this guy is just sitting out being an idiot. Like, some of the reports you're seeing, he's showing up late. Jordo's are like, he's 2 hours late to a plane, making the boys sit on the plane for 2 hours. I don't know if we already talked about this last week, but it's crazy.
And you got a guy on his teammate, Kevin Love, like making a mockery of the situation. Kevin Love's on the Heat, and I don't know if people have gone to Kevin Love's IG, but go check it out. He's been posting training day videos mimicking Jimmy Butler. He's like Jimmy Butler when he found out someone else was playing for him. He's going like Alonzo in training day. Denzel, he's like, you think you can do this to me? You think you can do this to me? Yeah, it's just hell of
an Instagram.
Oh my God. And that's the guys on his team. Like, what is going on in that league? No one, they just govern themselves, Ozzo. It's unbelievable.
It's a crazy sports league. It's crazy.
Isn't it? Like, hockey, as good as the dudes are in hockey, man, imagine if hockey guys had that power, how much more they'd be making.
Oh,
the inmates running the asylum.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not the same game, I guess. Like, NBA kind of is. It is a team sport. Like, you got to know how to play with guys for sure, 100%. But it also is like, you got to be so nasty one-on-one too. Like, you got to have your own bag. And hockey's just not as much like that. Like, everyone likes to, everyone in football, everyone likes the offensive players in football. Like, how many defensive players sell jerseys? Like, not a ton of them. But they all buy the wide receivers and the quarterbacks and the running backs because they score points, And basketball players score points. So that's why they get paid so much, because they're all just entertainers.
Yeah, man. It's just a hilarious league. It's so funny. I love it. And speaking of entertainers, Ozro, I just quickly wanted to touch on a little bit of hockey talk. And I wanted to touch on, did you see that absolute dart of a backhand by Patty Kane the other night in the shootout. He is the all-time leader in shootout goals at 53 tucks in the shootout. I mean, is there anything more vintage when you think about Patty Showtime Kane? Is when he slows it down and he starts just dusting it off, and the goalie just, he's just fucked. He's got no chance to stop that. That was always the sickest thing. Like Kuznetsov took it to another level in the shootout where he'd go so slow. But do you remember like the early days of when the shootout was implemented into the league and how slow Patty Kane would slow that thing down?
He'd come down and just slowed it. He'd come down decent speed and slow down and just stick handle, and then just so nasty.
Like that is like, when I think about the shootout, and I saw that stat obviously the other night and the unreal tuck he had for the Wings, but don't you think, especially just our era, when you think of a shootout, Ozzy, you think Patty Kane, no?
100%. Or I think TJ Oshie.
TJ
Sochi. I mean, 5-hole? You kidding me?
And that little pump fake he always used to do where he'd drop his shoulder, go to his backhand, and then back to the forehand. Little, hey, how are you?
Him and Kaner, dude, is wizards in the shootout.
Yeah, that's TJ Oshie. And that move he had too, where like we were talking about, drop the shoulder, pumper, go to the backhand, back to the forehand. That goalie would legitimately be in the corner and he knew it was coming.
Oh yeah. Knew it was coming. He scored how many times when he got the nickname TJ Sochi, which is so nails because everyone was watching. How many times did he score in that shootout?
I think the viewers are gonna correct us, and I hope they do, but I think it was like 4 for 6 or something.
Yeah, it was
something insane. I know he had a couple misses in there, but it was like legitimately 4 for 6 or 3 for 5, somewhere in there. And he was just going back to back. Like it was unbelievable. He's one of those guys, Ozzo, that you miss. Prime TJ Oshie was one of the sickest players of all time, man. I don't care what anyone says. He was way different. He just the reverse hits, the skill, he like Indian reservation hands. I mean,
he is such a nails player.
And just such a nails player. And like that guy, man, like just he moved different on the ice is what it was. Like he was so strong.
So strong. Never got knocked off his feet. You were right, Jordan. He was 4 for 6.
4 for 6 because he had a couple misses. The one miss was like he hit he went 5-hole, and I think it went like it barely nicked the goalie's top of his blade, and it didn't go in. There was another miss, but yeah, that was. I mean, the guy was on Good Morning America the next day, live from Russia. It was nuts.
So sick, so sick. He got a cup too, Jordan. I was so pumped for him when the Caps won that cup, but. Yeah, we got off Patty Kane, but that backhander, to get back to Patty Kane and rewind this talk, Jordo, that backhander was, whoo.
Oh, I mean, it was upstairs in a hurry.
Oh, man. He snapped it over to his backhand and snapped it in. Like, it was almost like a forehand shot for a righty.
You think Bedard, as I'm watching this Oilers and Hawks game right now, do you think Bedard could ever get to the level of Showtime, or is he just not as silky? It's so you always forget, like, Bedard's 19. Showtime, when he first came in the league, it took him a couple years, man.
Yeah, it did, but it did. You're right. He's still really young, but right now it seems like
no,
there ain't no way.
I don't think so either. Like prime Showtime. I mean,
yeah,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
It's a long ways to go. It's a long ways to go.
Yeah. Dude, what'd you think of the Suspy with Hartsey with the Wild? 10 games. I mean, repeat offender. Look, his chin. I mean, Stutzla's chin was exposed there. It was over the dot. Hartsey obviously knew what he was doing, but 10 games to throw the book. I just thought it was a little much. No, 500K Hartsey's got to fork over.
I mean, yeah, like Hartsey. I think Hartsey's doing it like, those plays happen all the time in the game of hockey where you're like, you got to try to play a little bit, dirty. And it's not in the sense of like trying to injure guys, but like you're trying to annoy guys. Like, like you're slashing them in the back of the knee a little bit sometimes, like that shit matters. So I don't think Hartsey was trying to but he didn't sell it good enough. Like you could tell he knew what he was doing, but 10 games is insane.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely trying to drive his chin in the ice like he was using it as an auger. But
yeah,
I just think 10 games throwing the book. He is a repeat offender. He does have a little criminal history there. He is a dirty player. We all know that. Ryan Hartman is, but that's what makes him good.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I would want him on my team every day of the week.
Mhm.
And that's why he's a guy you win with. He's a guy that when the game and the chips are stacked against you, you need him on your team because he's a fucking warrior and he's a prick. But to me, Stützle,
on the ice though, like
yeah,
you meet the guy in person, he's an all-time dude.
oh, he's the best. I mean, we've had him on the show. That was
Yeah.
one you missed, but he's the best. Like Hartsy's awesome. I'm just saying, if Stützle's going to play the next night and score or have an assist, you give a guy 10 games and the guy's not even injured. Come on, man. Maybe 3.
I honestly feel like it should go along with the injury a little bit.
100%.
Like if the guy is back in the game that game, like then you get to come back. Unless it's like completely egregious and you almost like try to kill a guy and he doesn't die, you know?
I just think 10 games is absurd, man. Not only from a money standpoint, he's losing $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, 10 games without Ryan Hartman for the Wild, and you have Kaprizov hurt. That's going to really hurt their team. I mean, I know Hartsy's had a little bit of a down year scoring, but he's still a valuable piece of your team.
Oh yeah,
you take him away for 10 fucking games. I mean, that's an eighth of the season right there. That's crazy, man. That's just.
Did he appeal it? Did he appeal it? I know he can, but I didn't see if he tried or anything.
I don't. To my knowledge, he hasn't appealed it yet, and I'm not sure if he's going to. But fuck, man. Yeah, I don't know. It seems steep, especially the punishment didn't really seem to fit the crime for me. So,
no.
But what can you do?
Like some of those head hits, like they feel a lot worse. They're standing still. They just fell.
How about when Tage Thompson gets his chin put on the other side of the clock?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, did they get?
Like that's nothing. They got nothing.
That's a lot worse for your head than what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tale's old as time, and Tomer's a friend of the program. I think you would agree. It's rule number 1 of hockey. You never go chin over shin. You don't get overextended like that, but that hit didn't seem necessary. Nosen played the puck before it, and then he absolutely just launched his shoulder right into Tomer's chin. And the worst part about it, Ozzo, in Buffalo, nobody fucking did anything. How do you not do anything when your best player by 30 country miles gets annihilated? And there's a guy like Samuelson and a couple other dudes that are 6'3", 6'4", don't step in and just have a wrestling match or shove Nason. Nobody did anything. And then Lindy Ruff says he calls a closed door meeting and has a stern talking to his team. And then the next night, Dennis Gilbert goes out and fights Matthew Olivier, who plays for the Columbus Blue Jackets. What does that solve? What are you doing? Like, it's like when your girl yells at you for something that happened with another guy touched your girl inappropriately. You didn't do anything about it the first time, and then it happens again, or a guy even just looks at your girl and now you sucker that guy. It's like that didn't solve the initial problem. It's just like it's such a fake hardo move. And I give Gilbert credit because Olivier is a fucking tough customer, one of the biggest nail guns in the league, Ozzo.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that do, man? Like you just
nothing.
You have this nothing.
Doing it the next game?
Stupid.
What does that even matter? It wasn't even the team that they were playing.
Right.
So like what's going on here? The closed door meeting, whatever. The fact of the matter is, and I like some of these guys. I love some of these guys on the Buffalo Sabres, but the fact of the matter is they didn't do shit at the time. And I'm not sure if that's a coaching problem or you know what? I'm sorry to say it. That's a player problem. I don't know who it is on a team. I don't know who takes the blame, but that's a player problem. You know, like if you guys, problem. Yeah, it's a culture problem. It's just not. It doesn't feel like a good team would ever do that type of thing. So, you gotta change things up. You can't keep that team together. You know.
No, I mean if you're Kevin Adams, you got to do something. Fuck fire, hold the light. No one was doing anything. It's just embarrassing, especially when it's your best player in Tage Thompson. So, folks, that is what we have on the National Hockey League. Again, sending it to Buffalo native Matt Keeler coming up in the program. But first, Ozzo, we have a couple things still left in the pre-show, baby. We're going to go over to the People's Insider Term of the Week. And the People's Term of the Week is runner. Now, Ozzo, what a runner is just one of those efforts you go out there and you tell your wife, you tell your buddies, hey, I'm gone for the day, and I don't know when I'll be back again. It's not a bender in a sense of you're going to go out for 3-4 days of heavy drinking, but it's one of those efforts where you're going to get a little loose. I'm going on a runner. That means you're going all over town. You're going to go probably do a pub crawl that you're just going to be calling your shots. You're going to get just insanely drunk, and you're
Sounds
going to
like
be
a fun
seen
day.
by everyone in town. Also, it starts with a matinee shift, maybe mimosas in the morning, but it's one of those shifts, man, where you don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going out and I'm going on a marathon. I'm going on a runner. I am going to go out. Give me the green light or I'm running the red. I got my running shoes on. My chin is tucked and I'm fucking ready to go pedal to the metal, baby. Let's do it Forrest Gump style. This is a confirmed runner.
That's unbelievable. Yeah. How fun are runners, Jordan?
Oh,
I mean, you decide to go on the runner and you're all around town.
oh
That's a great one. I love that one.
And it's just one of those things, Ozzy, where it's going to start early and it's going to end maybe 24 hours later. Like this is a full-on sprint. This is a runner. Like you don't know where it's going. Actually, when you call your shot like that and you say you're going on a runner, it's pretty scary because you know that guy really needs to blow off some steam. Like
yeah,
he's fucked.
He needs to get rid of some energy inside of himself.
Oh, he's fighting demons.
It's like the Chicago St. Patty's Day runner feel.
There's nothing better than going on a runner, though.
Oh, you're just so fired up.
It gets dangerous quick though because you're on the doubles, you're doing shots. Like it's like you don't actually. The crazy thing is when you're on a runner like that, you feel like you don't have control of your own body, man.
No, you don't.
Like
it's someone else. It's almost like your alter ego controlling yourself.
Yes. So nothing better than an old school runner, folks. That is the people's term of the week. Azo, did you have a nail gun of the week, my friend?
Yeah, I had one. I had two written down actually. My first one's gonna be Matty Tkachuk at the White House.
Yes.
He's back. He's tweeting it out. It looked like all the Panthers had a good time at the White House. It's good to see. You can do that. Like, last year, I don't know if you could have taken a picture with Trump and it would have been okay with the NHL and Gary Bettman, but now they're, with Trump and it looked like it. So I wanted to shout out Matty Tkachuk on that. And then I had Chad Ochocinco calling out James Harrison and saying he can beat his ass on Nightcap, wasn't it? It was like when they were at the Super Bowl and it looked like, and this was just recently, and Ocho's just telling him he can beat his ass. And James Harrison is just massive. Like, it's so good, man. It's unbelievable.
Like the workout fiend of the NFL for 20 years. Like the Ronnie Coleman of the NFL.
Ocho's so confident.
Ocho's like, but Unc, what he lack in speed is I got him with my quick hands. He's like, Ocho, you get hit with one of those, he gonna drop you. He's like, Unc, you don't understand how quick I am and light I am on my feet. And I got the rabbit punch to keep going at him. He's like, Ocho, he be benching 500. He's like, Unc, I bench 500 too. It's just like, it's just like so. Those guys are all.
He's not scared at all. It's unbelievable. It's so funny.
He's the best. He was the other day. Nightcap came out with a clip. It was Ocho's recommendations in Miami, and he gave out like 4 or 5 spots. I think at least 3 of them were like soul food spots. And he's like, and he ended it with, matter of fact, tell them that Ocho sent you. You're going to get a free this. It's like, no, you're not going to get anything free. But he was just like, it was so funny, man. It was so good. So, Azo, I had 2 nail guns myself, and I will start with, well, the funnier one, I guess, was Marcus Jordan. Marcus Jordan is, well, the famous son of Michael Jordan, the GOAT. Got pulled over the weekend. Possession of cocaine, DUI charges, and other paraphernalia. But when he got pulled over, TMZ released a video of the incident saying, you know what? I'm Michael Jordan's kid. I should be let go. And the officer's like, well, sir, I can smell the booze on your breath. You are stumbling on your words. You are intoxicated. and you drove onto these train tracks and your car is stuck here. So clearly, my friend, you are at least half cocked. So I just thought that was funny. Just dropping the MJ goat card did not work. That guy, he likes the snow. Eh? He's gotten caught a few times with the white powder. So
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like, I saw a picture like a year ago or two or something of him outside in God, why can't I think
like
of it?
Monaco.
Barcelona, I thought, yeah.
Yep.
And he's like having brunch and he's doing it. So, I mean, clearly this guy he's got to figure some shit out. Like, if you're doing it, I mean, you probably shouldn't be doing it that often.
No.
Where, like, imagine, like, this is how many times he's been caught with it. How often is he actually doing it?
Right. Like, how often is he actually snowing if he's
Yeah.
gotten caught twice in the last 6 odd months? So, Marcus Jordan, maybe put down the bag and your key. And I don't know, you are a executive at the Jordan brand. So maybe rep the family a little bit better, folks. Nobody's perfect over here, but it is what it is. My other nail gun of the week, Azo, a little bit sadder. Tita Woods. Tiger Woods' mom died somewhere between the ages of 78 and 82, depending on what birth certificate you read. She was a immigrant from Thailand. And I just thought through all the stuff she grinded through, just, personally in her marriage, different stuff with Tiger, she was always there for Tiger. And I was reading a couple stories on her just because, it's always sad when we lose a member like that to the GOAT family, especially the Woods. The reason why he had that Tiger head cover was because of Tita Woods. And it always says, her message on that head cover to this day, I believe, still reads that, I'm always with you. Love, Mom. Because the tournament she couldn't make him as a junior when he started traveling, she always wanted to be there for Tiger, by his side. And then obviously when he got into the circuit, the odd tournament she did miss, she was always there. So sad, Tiger, that was, by all accounts, that was his, his GOAT. That was his rock to lean on. And it's just sad, man. Life runs its course, Azo.
No one
your
lives
loved ones, my
forever.
friend.
Everyone dies. It's a sad reality, and it's you know what, Jordo? You could be any age, and it really doesn't matter. It sucks just as much as anyone. So, yeah, but that's why you gotta enjoy it while you have it.
You do, brother.
It's the only option.
You really do. Speaking of enjoying, folks, let's send it over to Jonny Lazarus. We hope you enjoy this one. This is the official correspondent, our Eastern Conference correspondent of Live in 5, Rangers beat writer, insider, jack of all trades, master of none, Jonny Lazarus, coming at you, Azo. That's the pre-show over here at Live in 5, as we always do. Fella, tape to tape, as always. Enjoy your stay in the greater Grand Forks area, and as well as, send me some pictures from the festivities this weekend on the pond. I'm interested to see how that gulf on the lake looks, my friend. So
yeah, take some content of that wasted management too.
I will, my
Hell
friend.
of a tourney.
Hell of a tourney. The People's Open, the People's Insider, the captain, always tape to tape, D to D. Folks, that was episode number 74, the pre-show. Up next, Jonny Lazarus. All right, what's up, Laz? How you doing? Dude, you didn't want to talk about it, and we got Jonny Lazarus joining the show here. But I got your hockey DB pulled up right away. Let's just get to it. Like, what happened in 17-18, man? 2 games at UMass Slamhurst? Like, after a solid freshman year playing with McCarr and the boys. Was that McCarr's freshman year too, or did you beat him to the punch there?
No, my sophomore year was his freshman year. So after my freshman year, Coach Carville and the staff literally cut 7 or 8 guys. They turned the whole thing around. We had a crazy spring of 6 a.m. workouts, could only drink on Saturdays only, through the entire spring. It wasn't, it was kind of like a boot camp. So sophomore year, came in, honestly, I felt great. It was the best summer training I had. And, I just, first 3-4 games, didn't see the lineup. I remember the first weekend of the year, we were at ASU and Carv said, everyone will get a game. Everyone will get in the game. And Friday I didn't play. So I was like, all right, I'll go in tomorrow. And we lost Friday. So I was like, all right, I'll definitely go in tomorrow. And Saturday morning we had our team meetings, did video. And then he called in a lot of forwards one-on-one.
Right.
So I went into the coach's office, and I'll never forget it. Like Carv, Ben Barr, and Jared DeMichael, Jimmy Marcoux also, who are all coaching in different spots now besides Carv. They were like, "What's our identity?" And I was like, "Fast, hard, prepared." Like that's the UMass hockey motto: fast, hard, prepared. And they were like, "Well, you're not that fast, and you don't play that hard. So like we don't know if we can put you in the lineup." And I was like,
"You're prepared, but
yeah,
sorry,
they're like,
buddy.
you're prepared. You
You
know
ain't
the systems."
fast." Yeah.
Well, so we actually had like before the year started, he did like the Herb Brooks like written test. We had like a systems test on paper. Got an A+, put it on the fridge.
Yeah, student of the game you are.
Exactly. But yeah, like that was a real wake-up call for me. So like, I didn't get in till our like 4th or 5th game. Got in, played 4th line minutes, probably like 7 minutes ice time, took a penalty on my first shift. Like right from there, my mind was all fucked up.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to play when you're told before you even get a chance to play like that you're not a fit. After what I thought was like a pretty decent freshman year. Like, granted, I had I think 9 points, but I only had like 1 point after Christmas break. Like we probably lost like 15 games in a row, and I don't think I had a single point.
Is that why you guys had such a hard summer? Because you guys went on kind of a skid second half?
Yeah, it was brutal. We beat Alabama Huntsville at Mariucci after like Christmas break, and we did like that Mariucci tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we literally lost every game like the rest of the year. I'm not even kidding. And Carv had said like in team meetings, like guys are going to get cut, like nobody's safe. Like it was a really tough environment to be in, like for a freshman too, especially, right? Like you're trying to get introduced to college hockey, and now it becomes like a tryout every night, basically, when it initially is. But yeah, man, it was really tough on me mentally. And honestly, like, I tell people this all the time too. Like I went into college, I was not a highly touted prospect. Like I played in the NAL. Wasn't even a point a game in the NAL. Like I was a solid player, but nothing crazy. And I didn't expect to play at all freshman year. So like I went in kind of like, whatever, I'll have fun. I'll try to earn my playing time and go from there and try to just be a consistent player like sophomore, junior, senior year in college. And I almost had the opposite experience where like I actually had a really good first 2 months of college, got put on the second line, second power play to start the year. So I got a taste of it. And then, from there, once you get a taste of it, it's like a drug, right? Like you just want to keep going. So sophomore year, when I didn't play at all, I was like, I gotta get out of here. Like I need to play. And, when you're kind of in it, there's nothing else, right? So I didn't think about social life. I didn't think about academics. Like all I wanted to do was play hockey. And, I definitely acted emotionally at the time. And it was also tough to tell, like, where our team would go. Like had I known they were going to go to the national championship the next year, like, maybe I would have thought otherwise. But yeah, man, it was a grind. It was a tough ride, but I guess no regrets.
Yeah, but for a sophomore slump of a year, you still got those jerseys hanging up back there.
Yeah.
You
I
got
got
the
too.
Yeah. What was UMass Slamhurst? What was it like off the sheet? Because that school, I always
the zoo.
Just heard it was the zoo. Like it was shakers every night. There was people just going nuts. Was that rep? Did it live up to what student life was actually like on campus?
So our first meeting, my freshman year, and keep in mind, like I went in with Coach Carvel, like, so my class was the first class under the new regime. So our first team meeting was like, I'm sick of hearing Zoomass. Like people look at Zoomass and they disrespect it. They think we're a joke. They think they can walk all over us. And that's when he wrote on the board, "This is Newmass." And that was like his whole thing, Newmass, like creating a new identity for the school, for the hockey program, like turning it into what it is now, honestly. Like we were kind of looked at as a joke when I first got there. And I'll never forget also, like first day, that meeting, we come up with like our core values. You guys he's a Chicago kid, Ray Pagozzi. Do you guys know Ray Pagozzi?
I played against him. Yeah.
Raymond Pagozzi, dude, that guy was like, I mean, he might have been smoking dope in like fourth grade. Like he was just one of those kids, like a North Shore Chicago kid, kind of had like a little like white boy gangster to him.
He was one of the funniest guys.
Yeah, he was a cool dude. Just even going back to the young days, it's like, holy fuck, this kid is a year younger than me. But I just remember like he was like I don't know, he had like kind of that gangsta swag.
Where did he play in the USHL again?
The Steel and Des Moines, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he was a senior my freshman year. And one of the funnier guys too. And we were doing like our whole, like, again, a legit like core values meeting. Like everyone's coming up with what our program wants to stand for and wants to represent. And Ray raises his hand. We're talking about the words like commitment and, all the words you see in the locker room, right? So Ray goes, what if we combine the words and do like commitmency? I was fucking crying, dude. It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life.
Commitmency.
Yeah, but back to the Zoom ass thing, we didn't really get that. It was business and like super serious from day one on campus. Like Saturday nights only. If they found out you drank a sip of alcohol on any other night, you get in trouble. Like the 4 other so we had 2 freshman dorms, like 4 and 4. So there was 8 of us in my class. The other 4 guys like hung out on a Friday night, didn't even go out. And I think they just like smelt like booze the next day. Couldn't drink for a month. Our team captains were like, if we see you guys boozing for a month, like, you know, we're going to go to the coaches. Like it was a crazy environment to be in. But again, like that was the sacrifice that needed to be made to turn everything around. Like they wanted to bring in guys that were committed to being professional hockey players.
Yeah.
I guess it worked out.
Yeah. You know, but it was tough.
Well, like so it's in Amherst. How far is that from Boston? Is it like hour? What is
Hour
it?
45.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, is it like, is the campus like, it's not like obviously city life, it's just like the campus in Amherst, like how's the city, is it combined into it? Like we don't as North Dakota guys, like I don't know anything about really Hockey East. I mean, we obviously played at BU one year. We'd play, you know, just non-conference games, but I don't really remember
Vermont, played at Vermont,
you played Vermont.
I'm sure.
Like, what was it like, Laz? Like, I
loved it.
Is it a cool campus? Like, there's a reason why they're good, but does the campus life check out with the hockey where it's at? Like, because it took them a while to get to that kind of point of being, you know, legit.
Yeah, it's kind of like its own little world. It's a beautiful campus, probably has like 25,000 students. So it's like pretty big.
Yeah.
And then there's like a little town that you can like walk to. So it's like, you know, maybe 2 streets of a strip that has like some bars, some food. So we'd like walk from campus to the bars that were in that little town. You know, we go to a restaurant every Thursday night called Pasti. That was like an Italian spot we'd all go to. But it did feel like you were kind of in your own little world, which was so cool. And then, you know, if you drive 5 minutes, there's like another, you know, more town like Chipotle and all that kind of stuff. Like if that part, like a junior town of some sort. But we also had Amherst College too, which is a really good D3 program. Like we shared the town with them, so we always saw those guys around. But I mean, I loved it. It was everything I could have wanted in a college, honestly.
You got the JV squad in town too, just the D3 team. What's up, boys? How you doing? You know, giving them that big time in a little bit, walking around with your Letterman's jackets.
They were in some of our classes. They would take
really
UMass. Yeah, so I had a class with like 2 or 3 Amherst hockey guys, and like we were buddies with them too. Like one of my friends, Stanley Brenner, played there, so like we always hung out with those guys and saw them play and stuff.
Dude, how was it like? We'll get into the Rangers talk a little bit here, but I just wanted to ask you, like coming from Long Island, you're a kid from Long Island, you're growing up in and around New York City, and then you find yourself in the North American Hockey League in fucking Wichita, where you're like, holy shit, we're a long way from Kansas here, Dorothy. Like, what were you thinking when you got boots on the ground in Wichita and just like, was like, what is this league? Was it a culture shock for you? Was it just like, yeah? I mean, so honestly, the 2 days, you know, the day I got dropped off at Wichita Falls and the day that I set foot on Mercyhurst campus were like, I cried both of those days. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like it was like, you know, what the fuck am I doing? Cause I didn't grow up like a legit hockey player. Like I didn't play AAA hockey till I was in 9th grade. I played AA, I played roller hockey, I played basketball. Like I was not one of the like good players on Long Island. Like, you know, and that was something that, I guess has kind of made me a little bit into the person I am and like the perspective I have. Cause I really always grew up like trying to belong with those guys. Like I remember the first time I skated with like, you know, my age group was like Sonny Milano, Jeremy Bracco, Ryan Hitchcock, Corey Hoffman, you know, these Brandon Fortunato, Danny Willett, like these kids were all so sick. And I never felt like I was really in the same conversation, which I wasn't because I got cut from their teams every year. But you know, I think for me, like, it was just a culture shock because I wasn't like the rink rat. I didn't spend all my weekends like away playing hockey. Like I had a good social life. I grew up in a Jewish town. So like to go to, you know, I'm a Jewish kid too from Long Island. So like it's like a whole little community in New York. Like, you know, grew up around Jewish people and then you get to the rink and you're the only one. So it's like such a weird, it's such a weird dynamic. Like I remember the first time I got made fun of for being Jewish, and I was like, "What? Like what? Like I go to like all my friends are Jewish. Like I didn't know it was a thing." But
the first day in Wichita Falls, like, get dropped off to a family. My parents are with me, crosses everywhere. Like, I think guns on the wall. And I was just like, this is not like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, cause I was like, hockey was never my life. Like I loved hockey, but it was never my
Right.
life,
Yes.
So it was a tough adjustment. Like all my friends, I'm seeing them like going to frat parties and doing all that stuff. And I was like, shit, like I should, like, you know what I mean? Like, am I good enough to be doing this? It was always me questioning if I was good enough or not. And that was like the hardest thing for me. I guess to go to junior hockey and play in the NAL was like wow, what if this doesn't work out? Like,
right. Like where do I go from here?
Yeah.
Like
I'd never talked to a college. Like, I was just doing it because I loved hockey. And like, I maybe had talked to one school before I played junior.
Wichita Falls, that's Texas, right?
Yeah, it's north of Dallas, 2 hours north of Dallas, on the border of Oklahoma. And I had the best time there. Like my 2 years there were unbelievable, and not your typical junior stories. Like we didn't go out all the time, we didn't booze all the time, but it was just like a close-knit group of guys that like just hung out, honestly.
Yeah, you can find yourself at a Waffle House late night, or maybe at a Chili's where they still have a smoking section. I never forget, boys, when I was driving down, when I got sent down from St. Louis to San Antonio one year, and I stopped in Texarkana, which is on the border of Arkansas and Texas, and at the Chili's, and this was like circa 2019, they still had a smoking section at the Chili's. Really? Oh yeah. And you know what? I was so pissed because I not only did I want to get the fajitas and light up a dart, but I didn't have a pack of smokes on me, so I wasn't able to do it. But yeah, man, that's like different. That's like some like deep South redneck stuff, like that North Texas area where you were, kind of Wichita Falls, Texarkana. Like there's, and on that Oklahoma border, like it's a different type of life down there, baby. It's backwoods shit. Yeah,
we did like the Friday night football games at the high schools. Like,
were you going to high school there, or were you out of high school at that point?
I was first year out of high school. Yeah. But we had a kid in our team from Dallas, Jeff Baum, who was playing in the EIHL. EIHL, is that the
English league?
English.
Yeah, he plays for Belfast. He's been there for like 3 years.
They call that the old fish and chips league. Yeah,
is that what they call it?
Yeah, the old pub league.
He was in high school. I guess he was a senior technically in high school, but I don't know. I think he was doing an online class, but he was from a town like 2 hours away in Dallas. So all of his friends were seniors in high school. So we'd just go down there and hang out with them, and it was the best time.
I bet that was a hell of a time.
Yeah, he threw so many house parties. Like it was awesome.
That is sick. Laz, we wanted to get you on. Obviously, you are the insider for the New York Rangers. You're doing stuff on the I was going to say Nancy Pelosi over here, the official correspondent of the Daily Face-Off. You got your own show, Morning Cuppa, with Colby Cohen, doing a ton of stuff. Obviously, you're always buzzing like a no vacancy sign. But, dude, I wanted to ask you, were you at the game last night? Were you at that game? That power play, man, that goal I saw late against Vegas, JT Miller absolutely stapled Brett Howden, a former Ranger, in and along the wall in the offensive zone. So I just want to get your initial thoughts, man, on this trade. I love that JT's rocking number 8 too. Obviously, his second tour with the New York Rangers. He previously was wearing number 10, obviously the bread man with that. But does it feel like it's a different club, even just add one guy? Because that guy is such an attitude player. Like, it's something the Rangers just desperately needed. And just has the field changed? Because your boots on the ground there basically every day at MSG.
Yeah, I wasn't in Boston for the first game, but last night, the first 2 periods, the team didn't look really any different. Like they were getting hemmed in by Vegas basically the entire first 40 minutes. But something flipped in that third. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was Sidney Sweeney and Maud Apatow leaving their seats. Like, that's part of the storyline. They were there.
That's showbiz. Right?
You can't not show up in front of Sidney Sweeney and Maud Apatow. But with JT Miller specifically, like, even doing little things, like with the first goal, he drives the net, takes his D with him, opens up the lane for Fox to Lafreniere. That opens up that seam. And not that players don't do that on the Rangers, but that's like a little thing that's noticeable. Will Cooley throws that hit, gets into the fight. JT's the first guy off the bench, skates over to the box, taps Cooley on the shins. Little things like that kind of go a long way that maybe not everyone notices. Mm-hmm. And then it's that little, like, we're not going to get fucked with kind of attitude, right? And I think him and Trocheck might feed off each other in that, because Vinny Trocheck is a guy too that will drag you into the fight. Like, he's a badass, doesn't back down from anything. And to see those two kind of have each other to lean on too is, I think, going to help the whole identity of this team. And that's been the biggest issue, right? The Rangers have always been soft to play against up until like last year when Rempe came in and that was the conversation. Rempe makes them a tougher team, right? So if you add a skilled player to that mix, I wouldn't want to play the Rangers in the first round if they make the playoffs right now.
Yeah, and you got to feel great. I mean, I feel like, when you get a trade like this, you got the player that I thought Vancouver should have kept.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you got to feel great as a Rangers fan, especially after this season with a couple guys underproducing, to get this guy in. I mean, they could definitely make the playoffs now, I feel like.
Yeah, 1,000%. And again, like what they gave up is not really much.
No.
Like Philip Hedl and JT Miller, if I'm picking one or the other, picking JT Miller 11 out of 10. I don't think anyone would pick Hedl over Miller right now. And then Victor Mancini, while you can look at him as a young defensive prospect, he wasn't even playing every night. So really, what are you giving up? The first round pick? Sure. But everyone always talks about how the Rangers can't develop draft picks anyway. So what the fuck does it matter? You don't know what you're getting.
No.
So, you know what I mean? And Brandstrom's no guy to sleep on either. He's a pretty solid puck moving defenseman. I know he's going to start in the AHL, but like he could be something in the future. Who knows? But to me, like the problem people are having is that it's 3 centers above the age of 30, but the Rangers aren't building for a future. They're trying to win a cup as soon as possible, and they're rebuilding on the fly. They're trying to put a competitive team together, not only for this year, but for next year. They don't want to waste a single season of Igor Shesterkin making $11.5 million, and next year's the last year of Artemi Panarin's contract at 11.6. Like they don't have time to waste. So to me, I love the move bringing in a guy like JT Miller. He's a guy that can help you win a Stanley Cup right now.
I even think he's just a guy in the locker room that can wake up a guy like, as I call him, Steve Aoki Zibanejad. I mean, you even saw the effect on. That's what I'm saying. Like he saw that trade. He's like, oh fuck, I can't be rocking a man bun around JT Miller. I can't be the East Palestine native from Ohio.
Yeah,
like you can't be just. There's a different just.
Well, they played together too when JT was.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like JT's one of those guys, as you know. He's a guy that if a place in Manhattan is getting robbed, say a convenience store, he's hopping in there and helping the owner out. It's just he's one of those guys that is always going to be there for the boys. He's always going to take care of not only himself on the ice and just will guys into the fight, but I just think he gives them a different attitude, like initially right away. It's just you can almost feel it even watching through your cable television TV, where I don't know, it's something that, obviously they have a little physicality when Rempe's in the lineup and some other guys, but I just think, man, especially losing Trouba, a guy in that department of that physicality, you insert JT Miller right into your lineup, and it's like, holy fuck. I think it wakes guys up. I think it just is like, okay, now we have a little bit of an identity, and we have a guy that's willing to, just be there and just be the heart and soul of the team kind of thing. And him and Vinny Trocheck, as you know, they can feed off each other. There were those 2 guys that grew up playing together in Pittsburgh all the way up.
1,000%. And you want to hear a crazy – actually, I don't know if the exact number is still 2. Might be 3. Probably the craziest stat in the NHL right now is the Rangers have only scored 2. Last time I checked, it was 2 goals off the forecheck, creating a turnover and scoring within like 5 seconds.
That's a lot of flybys.
Yeah. So having a guy like JT that can go in there like a motherfucker, be F1 and get the puck back. I think that's something that they desperately needed too. That's something that they struggled with last year against Florida, was defending the forecheck and not being able to get to a forecheck. Like that's something that they really need. And you guys both know, come playoff time, like you're not going to outscale anybody.
Well, if they're not doing it now, hopefully they got some thick skin, because I'm sure JT will let them know if they're not forechecking. And I think that was the problem in Vancouver. You got to have thick skin around JT if you're not putting in your full effort.
Yeah. But again, like I don't think the narrative around the room seems like he's an intense guy on the ice, but I don't know if he's as intense off the ice as he was made to be in Vancouver. From what I've gathered in the 2 days he's been here.
I think
I
think you're right. No, I think you're right. I think he's like, just even personally playing with him a little bit with like USA hockey, and I played with him growing up in just youth hockey in AAA in the summers. He's a prick on the ice, but he's a good dude. He's a smart ass of it, but who isn't in hockey, right? It's like, so I just think I was comparing him last time we were on Hockey Night in Scottsdale, and I was talking to Bob Gucci, and I was comparing him like, it's almost like he's like the Mr. Deeds of New York, right? He's like this guy that fell into a bunch of money. He's like a blue collar Midwest guy from Winchestertonville, Iowa. And he comes in back into the city, and JT's like one of those guys that's going to help everyone out. He's going to help the teammates out. He's going to help people off the ice. If he sees a lady getting mugged on the side of the street, Well, there's JT Miller hopping in. If he sees one of his teammates down and out on the ice, well, he's hopping in and pulling them out of the fight. So I just think like he's just like that facilitator of, you know what I mean? Like he's just like a Swiss Army knife of like a guy that's just like in lower Manhattan that, you know, probably would never have been there unless it was for hockey. And now he's here and he's back. And I don't know. I was just kind of drawing comparisons
I love
Mr. Deeds. Like he's just that type of guy. He's going back to some shitty town in Ohio, but during the hockey season, you know what? This is when the bright lights are, and he's made for it.
Yeah, I listen. I am all for making the movie references. Who's the Johnny McEnroe then though? If he's Mr. Deeds,
that's true. Yeah,
is that Rempe? Is Rempe McEnroe?
It's gotta be Rempe.
Rempe's got to get a little more fire, a little more Irishman in him if he's going to be if he's going to be McEnroe though. Like he's got to have a little bit. His wires got to cross more, snap a little bit.
He's like the nicest kid ever.
That's what I mean. He's almost too nice.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, like that. The way his whole reputation came to be is like the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. It's nuts.
So what do we think about his game? You're a big advocate of Rempe. You think his ceiling is high, not only because he's 7 feet tall, but you like his game. You think he's got a little more skill maybe there than what he showed.
Well, listen, I don't think he's like the most skilled hockey player, but I think he's impactful. You know, I said last year, kind of like your Mr. Deeds reference, I said that Matt Rempe's kind of like Santa Claus. You know, like whether you believe in him or don't, there's something there, right?
Yes.
Like, you know, I think it's hard to deny that there is something. And just because someone does believe in Santa Claus, you're not going to tell them not to, right? Like there's some sort of magic. And I think bringing in Matt Rempe changed the identity of their team last year and brought in some sort of energy to Madison Square Garden that I hadn't seen since Sean Avery was playing here. Like every time that guy was on the ice, everyone was on the edge of their seat chanting his name. Like that doesn't happen in many arenas around the NHL. You know, it doesn't happen anywhere basically. You know, I know last year, Vancouver, they chanted JT Miller and they chanted Petey's name for like encouragement and stuff, but Rempe can get pulled into a face-off because his centerman gets kicked out and everyone's like freaking out. Like it's a crazy. You guys, if you guys can have a chance to go to MSG and see like a Ranger game and see Matt Rempe in person, I'm telling you, it won't make any sense, but you're gonna love every second of it. And him as a player, like he's been way smarter over the last like 10 games, I guess, since coming back from his suspension. Last night, while it might have been a soft call, he draws that penalty that leads to the tying goal in the power play. You know, he scored that backhand goal a couple weeks ago. I forget against who, but you know, a beautiful play up the wall.
That was a nice goal, yeah.
Yeah, him and Edstrom have some pretty good chemistry on the fourth line. And if I'm a defenseman in the NHL, I don't want to go back for a puck with those two coming on me. Not at all.
No, especially because you never know what he's going to do. I mean, he might staple your chin like Heiskanen the other week when he got another month when he got a 10 game or whatever it was. But I agree. I do think there is more there. It's just tough when you play like 5 minutes a night and you're just expected to chuck. It's like
he got north of 10 last night. Career high.
Okay. Career high. I like it. I like it. Like I do think like he's still scratching the surface and just in terms of being a hockey player. Like obviously he's got to work on his left and right a little bit. I think he can use his size to his advantage more when he is fighting, Laz. But there is something there where I think he could be a serviceable player, like good enough to play hockey in the National Hockey League, and then on top of that, obviously, chuck him, right? Like I mean, no disrespect to Curtis McDermott, but if Curtis McDermott can play forward as a defenseman that he normally is in the National Hockey League, I think Remps is definitely well beyond that, and can even offer a little bit more just in the department of playing hockey.
Yeah, and something that like should be said too. I mean, he enjoys every second of what comes with being in the NHL. Like, if there is one player signing autographs after the game, it's always Matt Rempe. I think he did it last night, and it was snowing after the game. You know, he'll do the body armor commercials. Like he just loves it. There's not 1 second that goes by where this kid is not just like enjoying the bright lights on him. I remember his like second home game or whenever he had the double black eye last year. They showed him in warmups. He was like stretching. He looks up and saw himself, and he just started cracking up. Like it was the funniest thing ever. Like I think there's something that's so awesome in not taking the game too seriously and having fun with it. Like, you know, that's been something that all three of us have grown up in and have been taught to just like do your job, be professional, be serious. And from, you know, I don't know you guys super well, but from the looks of it, like we all like to goof around and have fun, right? And that's like that's what playing in the NHL should be. Like, you know, give a kid a stick, throw a puck, sign on, like take selfies, like just do the goofy shit that you want to do to bring other people joy. Like, and there's no one that does that better than Matt Rempe. I will say Panarin does it a lot too in New York, but you don't see it as much with Panarin because he doesn't love when cameras are on him.
Yeah.
How about Quickie? Quickie 400 wins last night. Like, how much longer does this guy want to fucking play? He just set an American record for goalies for 400 wins, 15th all time on the goalie list. He's 39 years old. He's an 86 born, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Is Quickie a guy you think? Oh, 3. I forgot with Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a third stringer there.
Yeah.
What does it look like for him moving forward? Do you think he's a guy that could get re-signed next year by the Rangers, the Strangers? I mean, he had a pretty good year last year. He's played pretty well and decent this year. He's got a sub 900 save percentage. So is he a guy that they maybe look to re-sign, or if this is it for Quickie, it's been a hell of a run?
Yeah, well, it was the same thing last year. Like going into last season, he signed a 1-year deal.
Yep.
Mid-season, he earned it, like with how he played. Because, Igor Shesterkin, like this time of the year last year, was a disaster. And the Rangers would not have come close to the President's Trophy if it wasn't for the way Jonathan Quick played. So I could see something similar happening, this year where, let's say the next coming weeks or so, they sign him to another 1-year extension. I know he loves it here. I know he wants to be here. I know they love his voice in the locker room. He's been an unbelievable leader. Last year, I got the chance to talk to him like one-on-one after game 5 of the Carolina series, where everyone was starting to like, freak out. Is this going to be the biggest collapse in Ranger history? Is Carolina going to complete the 0-3 comeback? And, the one thing he said was nothing from game to game translates. Like, it's one fucking game. It doesn't matter. Like he literally dropped like a couple F-bombs in that story. It was just like, people freaking out are ridiculous. Like, it's one game at a time. Like, he's been on the other side, right? He was on that LA Kings team that came back from down 0-3 to San Jose in 2014. So his experience, his appreciation for where he is too. He's a competitive guy, but he understands that he's not the number one. And I think, Keandre Miller said it last night, like even when he's not playing, he's the first guy to like help with the waters, open the doors. And I know that's little stuff, but it goes a long way. So yeah, I think they're more than happy to have him around for as long as he wants to be here.
What are the Rangers? What are they missing this year from last year? I mean, some of their guys are underproducing a little bit. Do you think that's just because they're so tired from? Are you tired out from last season when you kind of do think you have a team to win it all and you come up short once again? What is it? Because some of these guys just not performing to what they should be.
Yeah. It's tough to pinpoint it to one thing. That little stretch where everyone was kind of giving them shit, it did honestly seem like they weren't even trying. And maybe that's like we can turn it on when we have to mentality. And I don't know if I necessarily always buy that, but when the Tampa Bay Lightning were doing their thing, no one ever talked about how good they were playing in the regular season, right? Like it seemed like they turned it on come March and whatever, and then went on a run. I don't think that's what this team was thinking or what their mentality was, but the past couple of years, or dating back for how long, they've been a team that's thrived in the power play and has gotten great goaltending. When your power play is not scoring and your goalies aren't making the saves, all the other mistakes are just that much louder, right? So like those two things kind of covered up what was weak about them. I think the power play went a little dry. Mika Zibanejad had a really bad start to the year. And, there were moments going back to 21-22 where not only were people like so high on Igor, but the narrative in New York was this team will go as far as Mika Zibanejad takes them. Like that was, I'm telling you, like the conversation, I remember it vividly. Outside of Alexander Ovechkin and maybe David Pastrnak, like Mika Zibanejad's the guy you want on that left side on the power play for a one-timer. And that's kind of gotten away. Like I can't remember the last power play one-time goal Mika has scored. And those used to be automatic. And, I think having him not be the guy kind of leading the way, and it's always Panarin, but Mika's been a big contributor in that, almost like went through the locker room in some sense, if that makes sense. But, what I will add also is that the Rangers have not necessarily been a great defensive team and have always been bailed out by goaltending, and they've gotten hemmed in their own zone. Like even last year, when they were doing so well, people were saying, what makes that? Why are they so good? Their metrics don't make sense, right? And, this year I just think it was a little bit noisier.
Yeah.
I just think they're just missing pieces on that back end, Laz.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking at their back end and you're looking at Adam Fox. Now, Adam Fox, I love his game. I love Foxy. Does he skate the best? No. Is he a little bit undersized? Yes. When he plays a team like Florida, is he going to get worn down a little bit to the point of those big boys hitting them all game for 20, 30 minutes like he's playing? And as later, as long as the series goes, if it's 6, 7 games, that gets taxing on a guy. And especially a guy that small, going back for pucks, having to shag, taking bodies. Are they looking to add anything back there? I mean, obviously, Chris Drury is no slouch himself in the general manager department, but it's like, I like Will Borgen. I think he's pretty good. They just inked him for on a 5-year ticket or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. You get rid of Jacob Trouba, obviously going back the other way. But are they looking at maybe adding some sort of piece back there? Could you part ways with one of your big dogs up front to get something to kind of help and complement that defensive core, or is that not really something they're stressing right now?
No, I think they're still trying to, I guess, for lack of a better term, like rebrand their blue line. I'm not sure what their plans are for Vakanainen. He's a UFA at the end of the year. Ryan Lindgren, as we all know, is a UFA at the end of the year. And then you had Zach Jones and Keandre Miller, who are both RFAs, and Schneider's an RFA next year. The only guy locked in long term, or I guess 2 guys now with Borgen, are Fox and Borgen. So they have a lot to figure out on the blue line. Ryan Lindgren, to me, I think he's going to get shipped out at the deadline. I don't know what he'll bring back, but he's had a really tough year on the blue line this year. He's actually kind of become the punching bag since Trouba's left, and New York fans always kind of have their one guy that they hammer. And I'm telling you, last night the Rangers come back and win that game. I had mentions like, "Why won't you ask Laviolette about Lindgren?" I'm like, dude, that nothing. Like, it's not the story, Right. People are just ripping him apart, and I feel bad because he's a great kid, plays hard, just having a tough year, and that happens. But him making 4.5 right now, being a UFA, like, I don't think they want to sign him to anything north of like a 2-3 year deal. I just don't see it happening. So I could see him getting moved out. But the guy they'd bring in, they could use another puck moving defenseman. They have Zach Jones just kind of rotting right now in the press box. And Schmaltz, I know you know how I feel about Zach Jones, and you had that good dunk on me a couple months ago, which was good. But he's a UMass guy. I'll always defend him and want the best for him. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know what defensemen are really out there right now. Like, I know Alec Martinez is one name, like Ian Cole, I think older vet guys, which if they're trying to win a cup this year, maybe those are the guys you go after. Like a Martinez on the top line with Fox could be a good replacement for Ryan Lindgren, like similar price range. I think Martinez makes 3.5. So I think that's something that they'd target. But yeah, their blue line is priority number 1 for this summer and for I guess the future going forward.
At what point is Lindgren just worn out from playing playoffs and just getting injured every other game that he plays? Like, should this guy just take it easy during the regular season? Because I love his game in the playoffs, but it's like you can't take that beating.
His game in the playoffs is his game for 82. He plays that way every night.
Yeah, I know. It's like you can't keep that up.
Yeah. He can't even take it easy in the preseason. Did he have his jaw wired shut?
Hurt,
Like, what are we talking about? This guy plays way too hard, by the way. Like, what a warrior. I feel like he gets a concussion every other game.
Yeah, no, he it's death taxes and Ryan Lindgren's bleeding somewhere. Like,
it's insane.
Yeah. And but again, though, like, that's the hard part with Ranger fans right now, is because like he has put his body on the line for the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years, however long he's been here. And the second he has a bad season, it's just like you just put that
here, buddy.
It's like, but that's how New Yorkers are, man. Like, even in the NBA, like Julius Randle came here and like resurrected the Knicks, and he has an MVP year, and then he didn't win the MVP, but he had like an MVP style year, and then he has one bad season, and everyone's like, get this fucking bum out of town. Like, there's no ride or die. It's tough, but I guess it's just the nature of the business.
Laz, next time you're in and around the media scrum in the locker room or after the game, you got to pull Chris Kreider aside, and you got to
he's
ask
the one guy I actually haven't talked to one-on-one.
Okay, so when you get him one-on-one or you get him in a scrum, you got to ask him, does he realize he's struggling a little bit this year, but he has to know that he's up for the Cy Young. I mean, 15 goals, 3 assists. He's 15-3 this year. Like, despite what you want to say about the guy, he's pitching well. Like, he looks good on the mound. 15-3, on pace for 30 wins in that department. Like, does he know he's up for the NHL Cy Young? We got to put this on the map for him.
Yeah, I think he You might have to correct me, but I think all 3 are secondaries too.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Even better.
I'm pretty sure he didn't have one. I don't think he had an assist until like Thanksgiving.
So
Which
that's a comparable of coming in as a
Yeah.
reliever and getting
Yeah.
a loss, not an actual start loss. That's
Yeah,
huge.
he had 9 and 0 at one point. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, again, like I don't know how that's possible.
It's
Like
crazy.
No one buries a rebound. Like
Shot off
yeah.
your ass that just sits there and somebody bangs it home.
I don't know. But yeah, that was definitely something that's been talked about. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I'll put you on the spot here, which is kind of funny because Chris Kreider's on Team USA, obviously, for
Yes, he
the
is.
4 Nations. And I just had it pulled up a second ago. Give me 1 second. If you look at the top point producers in the NHL over the past, I guess, like 2-3 weeks, do you know who 2 and 3 are? I guess tied for second would be.
Is it Clayton Keller and Tage Thompson?
Tage Thompson and Jason Robertson. Clayton Keller is actually 1 point back.
Okay.
The 3 guys who were cut have been like getting hot right before the 4 Nations. And you got Kreider who made it. And I think Vinny is a good player to be on there. But like 3 absolute studs, young studs too. And to me, that was the point of 4 Nations, like highlight the younger talent in the league, right? Like, I don't know, man, but seeing those 3 like kind of go on a tear in these weeks leading up to it is like, fuck. Like
Tage, I get the other guys, okay, but Tage Thompson being left off is like,
I agree,
because he can play. He could play like a 4th line role, Tomer.
Yeah.
Like he can skate. Did you see him, by the way, last night, man? Oh my God, he got his chin put on back.
No one does anything.
No one does anything. And then Steph Nason doesn't receive a fine or any disciplinary action. That's pretty crazy. Like I thought, did you see that play? Like we were breaking it down last night. Nason actually played the puck before he got
I thought he was
chin.
tough. I thought he was tough.
Yes. But did you see the Cardinals' sin there, Laz, is you never go chin over shin. And Thompson was so far extended over his shin. It's just like, but at the same time, if you're Nason, do you really have to tag a guy's chin like that? Like I thought it was like a little bit, it could have been preventable, but it is their best player and Nason has a job to do too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was really dirty or just a little chintzy where you can kind of get away with it. And obviously Georgie Peros led to the latter. But yeah, I thought that he liked it. He liked, you got to stay tucked, bottom line.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the comparison, we talked about it this morning would be like that Kachuk hit on Eichel in the Cup final a couple years ago, like where Eichel's kind of like, lean, like hunched over a little bit, like overextending for the puck and Kachuk lays right into him. But obviously Tage is a much bigger body, kind of looks different, I guess. I don't know. But
I just thought it was funny because Nason played the puck before and then ultimately made the hit afterwards. It's like, I just thought in that sense, it was a little preventable because he did make a nice backhand outlet dish and then he still followed through on the chin. I was like, I don't know. Do you need that in the dog days of Buffalo? Like Chippewa Street, it's cold as hell. Like, come on. Do we need to do this? Especially a matinee at the Key Bump Arena on a Sunday. It's like the guy already had 1 and 2. Like, fuck me. So, yeah, man, that I don't know. That 4 Nations roster. Are you heading up for that tournament? Are you going to go to Montreal?
Yeah, I'll be there. You guys?
I'm going to go up. Yeah, I'm going to go up for that USA-Canada game on the 15th or 16th, whatever it is. But
are you going to do a show?
No, I'm going to be going with the Missing Curfew guys. So we're going to go to the game and just hang out and we'll see what happens. Yeah, but I'm with you, man. Like Kreider, like, look, he's been a great player. It's just those exciting guys. Even Kells, like he's nasty.
Yeah, he's so sick.
Robertson, these guys keep knocking on my door. I don't know what's going on. I don't know, like they want to get into my condo unit. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm just going to keep icing them here. So yeah, we'll see, Laz. We'll see on that front. I wanted to ask you, where you been snapping around in the city? Where you been going out? Are you on that trendy shit right now with everyone on the Lower East Side hanging out? Where you been buzzing?
I'm such a disappointment to you, probably. Like I've been traveling a lot the last few weekends, so I haven't really been out here all that much. There's 2 new country bars though. There's one in Brooklyn called Desert 5 that I haven't been to yet, which I heard is sick. And Common Ground, if you guys are familiar with Common Ground, it's like one of the popular spots in New York City. They just opened up a country bar also called Common Country. So those are the 2 spots I'd like to go to. But yeah, I don't have like a staple per se in New York. Like, especially my age now, like I'm 28. most of my friends are kind of like wifed up. So the crew that I run with is always like pretty random. You know, there aren't many guys anymore who are down to just send it on a Saturday. So you got to kind of pick and choose who you out with and who you hang out with and all that stuff. It's gotten way too mature and adulty around here.
It doesn't get any easier on the body.
No, I know. Yeah.
Like, it's tough, man. It's a tough game. I said drinking the other week. I was in Vegas. I had like 6 drinks. I didn't even go out. And I was the next day I woke up and I was so stung. I'm like, holy fuck, drinking. This is a contact sport.
I saw that.
You know what I mean? Like this is hands on.
I become a red wine guy though. I like to go out. I like to go out on, you know, like an early like 6 o'clock and kind of get into the wine and do that.
Yeah.
Find a group of 8 people, like some girls, some guys. And you know what I've been doing actually on a Saturday night? I've been going with my friend Jack to the Bond Street Sushi like bar downstairs. That's where a lot of people hang out.
Where's that at?
There. It's like Lower East Side.
Yeah, of course it is. That's where you are.
Yeah.
That's where you're.
Well, it's like more like Soho.
Okay.
Like that area. So there's a couple bars in that area. Bleecker Street Bar has become a pretty popular spot. And then you kind of go to Bond Street and just like find a group of girls and I don't know if you saw that karaoke video that kind of went viral that I did like 2 months ago. This girl I met her at Bond Street and then we ended up doing karaoke with their friend group and like I sang with her and she posted it on TikTok and stuff.
No way. What'd you sing?
Good look for me. Sang 4 to 5 Seconds by Rihanna and Kanye.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So I asked her to come on stage with me and sing with me, and then she posted like a TikTok video saying like met this random guy karaoke, help me find him, and like it was a good look.
Wow,
good PR
and she found you.
Good PR for me. Yeah, she lives in
Wow.
LA. I'm actually I'm going to LA in like March. I think I'm gonna bring her to a Kings game. So we'll see.
Wow. Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe give her 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. That's good.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, the West Village though. I love bombing around there. American bar, sneaky.
I've actually never been there.
No way. There's talent walking in there, man. That's a good spot.
I'm gonna confess to you, I've never been to a strip club or West Garden in my life.
So now we're getting on the West Garden talk.
I figured that was going to come, so I thought I'd lead you in there.
I have it written down. The funniest thing about the West Garden is there's a precinct right across the street.
Really?
So police officers midday are going for tugs. Like I've been in there, and I'm not like a guy that like religiously likes to get tugs, but when I'm at the Mecca, listen, I'm not perfect. I'm a goddamn human.
Yeah.
I have to pay my respects. So I think in the last time we were there, and
you have a punch card.
This time, I don't have the punch card. I only have that for an acai place right around the corner. But yeah, the garden, man, the Garden of the West, like I'm pretty sure I was reading about it. It is one of the 7 or 8. I think it is the 8th wonder of the world.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how like well known that place is.
And it's just like a known facility right in the middle of Manhattan in Midtown. That's just a rub and tug. Like people just. Like it's like the only place in the world where it's like, yeah, you're at the garden, like you can like actually publicly talk about it.
Just got a brown paper bag around it.
Yeah, like if you were talking about establishment like that anywhere else in the world, you'd be like get judged. But you're like, oh, you're at the West Garden. Yeah, it's a great spot, man. Yeah, love the lockers, love everything about it.
Madison Square Garden is the world's most famous arena. West Garden is the world's most famous rub and tug.
Oh my god, yeah, that place. Goddamn, it brings a tear to my eye. Yeah,
this can't be the clip from this episode.
No, we're not going to clip this. Well, we might, but we probably won't. No, dude. My last question for you. Yeah. I mean, obviously,
I do have to shout out though my friend Rowan Savadon. He
loves
you guys. Biggest fan. I think I sent you the
you did.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I love
He's
the
all
chin.
Fired up that I'm on here.
I love it, dude. You're obviously you have the Jewish heritage in you and the Jewish people. I always get mistaken for a Jew because my last name is Schmaltz. I'm like, look, you know what? I can be an honorary member.
You can.
I am not. Yes. Best bagel in the city. I'm a big bagel guy. My family is big bagel people. Essa Bagel, one of my favorites, but I'm always looking. Pop-up Bagel, another good spot in the city.
Good. Yeah. I'm a Tompkins Square bagel guy.
I was gonna say, okay, so where's that?
It's like 2 blocks from where I am. So I live like kind of like Union Square, East Village. I'm on 13th and 3rd.
Yep.
I think it's on like 11th and 2nd. So it's like a 2-block walk for me. Fluffiest bagel you'll find. So good, like kind of reasonably priced too. But I actually heard, and I'm very interested to try. People have said Montreal has the best bagels. Like that's been.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
really.
Yeah. So I'm excited to try. I don't know. I don't remember the name of the spot, but I will definitely be going to try a bagel when we're up in Montreal in 2 weeks.
What's your go-to?
I'm a egg bagel, scallion cream cheese lox. That's kind of
Okay.
my speed.
Okay. Yeah.
You?
I'm a purist. I like a plain or an everything
Butter
with just a little butter, fella.
Oh,
yes.
God.
Yes. That's the swishy staple.
does
Just-
hit.
Toasted,
Yeah.
toasted a little bit.
yeah, but they get some places in New York, they get offended if you ask for a toasted. Laz.
Really?
Yeah, they're
I've
that
learned.
fresh. Yeah.
Oh, they get choked. Yes. And
Yeah.
they're like, are you fucking, where are you from? You fucking
Yeah.
white boy. I'm like, fuck. Yeah, I'm from Verona, Wisconsin, but you need to toast that thing for me, baby.
Have you had Lindustry pizza when you've been here?
No.
No.
And I'm a big pizza guy too.
I
I've not
figured,
been there.
yeah. You got to go to Lindustry. What pizza spot do you go when you're here?
I like
Joe's?
I like Joe's.
Mhm.
I tried another Neapolitan place last time. It was in the West Village. I didn't love it. I don't know. I would say John's is probably my favorite if
Mhm.
I'm being honest. But I do like. See, the thing is you're either a New York slice guy or you're a Connecticut slice guy, and
Yeah.
the book is still out for me because there is so much good pizza in the city. I forget this one place that had like it wasn't a traditional style pizza, but it
Mhm.
had like the vodka sauce on it. It was unreal.
Probably Prince Street.
No,
Prince Street pizza?
Prince Street's good too. I like that. They actually just put one in Chicago.
Really? Yeah, Prince
Yes.
Street's amazing.
Prince, yeah.
Gage,
if
where are
you-
you?
I'm in Minneapolis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The Shook. That's
The
spot.
sh- the
burger
you're
spot?
talking-
The
The
Nook.
Nook. The Nook.
The Nook.
Great
Nook.
spot.
Yeah, the
Oh.
Nook. My bad. They
Great
have the
wings
cheese
and
like they have the
burgers.
cheese like inside the meat, right?
Yeah, yeah. Juicy
Yes.
Lucy.
Yeah.
Juicy Lucy. Just
They got a bowling alley downstairs with no screens. You got to keep your own score, which is tough when you get like a strike or a spare.
Can't do
Keeping
that
track,
math.
you
Yeah,
know,
you
it's
can't do that
tough. You
math.
just kind of got to go by how many pins you knock down, and then there's no cell service down there, so you can get lost down there.
Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. But what a spot that is.
Yeah.
I'm too my skin's too sensitive for Minnesota. I can't handle that cold, but what a city.
You're telling me, buddy. I can't do that anymore either. Just it
Yeah,
comes.
so wait, what brought you out to Scottsdale?
So now that you're interviewing me on my own
Yeah,
show,
I'm curious. Yeah.
no, I originally bought a place down here. Like, I think it was after or during the year I was playing in Toronto in the AHL because I had been
Mhm.
coming out here training with Nick. Obviously, he had gotten traded like a year prior, and I was living in Minnesota. I was doing my summers there, and we had a good crew of guys skating, working out. But I just knew I didn't want to buy anything there, and I didn't want to buy anything in Wisconsin. I was like, okay, well, there's a really good crew of guys skating down in Scottsdale, despite it being 110 degrees.
Yeah.
And I knew probably at that point that my NHL days at least were coming to an end, and I didn't want to play in the American Hockey League for much longer. So then COVID hit. I signed with the Coyotes. I played that year in Tucson, and then I ended up signing overseas. So it works out, obviously, as you know, you leave earlier in the summer, so I wouldn't have to grind as long here in the summer because it wouldn't be as hot.
Mhm.
So, and you get back earlier, which is, like right around March this time. So it's
Mhm.
perfect. It would line up from March to June. Then I'd be off going to play overseas. So that was kind of my train of thought. And then also when I was gone, I could rent it out to one of Nick's teammates.
Yeah.
as we were playing with. So we had a great crew. I mean, Matthews was down here. McDavid was snapping it around here. Kells would stay all summer. So there's a really good crew of guys skating here with the Coyotes and just pros in general. So that was kind of my train of thought of why I did it. And thank God I did, because now it's like, I mean, there's so many people moving here and it's crazy and prices have just tripled. It's nuts, man.
Really? I've never been to
been here?
Scottsdale. No. We played ASU in college, and that's like the only time I've really been to Arizona.
Yeah.
Scottsdale's a great time. You got to get down there.
I'm sure my friends, someone will have a bachelor party there at some point.
Mhm.
Right.
But yeah, I've never been down there, so I don't know like the vibes or anything. I mean, I've only heard good things. So
yeah, it's great. It's great. And it's just like, I mean, especially this week, it's the Wasted Management Open. I mean, it's the People's Open. It's going to be nuts.
Super Bowl on Waste Management, same weekend, right? That's crazy.
It always is.
In New Orleans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This year it's in New Orleans. So, Ozzo, you got anything else for Laz? We've had him on here for about an hour.
Yeah, Laz, I had one question. I mean, you're from the island. How are you a Rangers fan and not an Islanders fan?
Yeah, it's a story that no one really asked me about. So when I have a chance to tell it, I'll be happy to tell it. I was an Islander fan until I was probably like 6 years old. My dad was in high school for all 4 years. They won the cup, and like one of his best friends is like aunt married Bobby Nystrom or something. So like he was always around the Islanders. But my dad's like not a big hockey guy. He was a big lacrosse basketball guy. so like he didn't really raise me to be an Islander fan or anything. And then my cousin, who's like 5 years older than me, was like a diehard Ranger fan. So he just like wouldn't let me root for the Islanders. Like he literally just like would like bully me into being a Ranger fan. And I think my aunt took me, my cousin, and my dad to my first Ranger game in like 2002. So I was like 7. And right from the first time I went to the Garden, I was like, all right, like this is my team. Like Garden is this. It's like we hit up ESPN Zone before the game, if you guys remember that. Like, that was, like, the thing back in the day.
Oh, unreal.
Yeah, it was the best, dude. And then, you know, went over to the Garden and got to see, I think Yager was actually on the Capitals in that game. It was Rangers Caps. It ended in like a 2-2 tie. Pretty sure Lindros had a goal for the Rangers. And yeah, I started wearing 88 because of Eric Lindros, and I became a Ranger fan right from that moment. So there is a picture of me somewhere with a Alexei Yashin jersey and my hair painted blue and orange, but I haven't seen that one pop up.
Yeah, do you get any flack like Big Cat now? Like you're not a true Rangers fan from birth?
I changed over at 6 and not 20. So
yeah, that's a little better.
Yeah, what do you guys think of that? Because I love Big Cat, dude. And I was like, that's kind of fucked, honestly.
I love Big Cat too. He's like probably my favorite media personality right now. And yeah, it kind of stung a little bit because I liked that he was a suffering Bears fan. And then when I saw him, you know, he's got a couple Super Bowls with Tom Brady. I'm like, doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
Those pictures just looked weird, especially when he was 20 years old, boys. It's not like he was a kid. He was he's at heart, you know, he's a Tom Brady fan, but it was a genius move in a business sense of, okay,
it was a great call.
Dave's going to make him the Chicago guy. Now you're all in on Chicago sports for the company. And he does live and breathe that, but it definitely hit weird. And it was so funny too. When like Kirk Minahan was chirping him, I didn't watch any of that Surviving Barstool. Like Dan Katz from Newton, Massachusetts. And I'm like, wait, what? So I had to do my homework and I Googled it. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's a fucking Patriots fan.
Yeah. It definitely makes you look at him a little bit differently, but
and talk about a terrible decision too. I mean, why would you want to be a Chicago fan over a Boston fan?
Well, I think it was like the year right after they had gone to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
the Bears were in the Super Bowl that one year with like Devin Hester or something, right?
Oh, Devin Hester,
I think so. Maybe he was a front runner at the time. Who knows?
Yeah.
And who are your guys' NHL teams growing up? I'm interviewing you again.
Yeah, you're interviewing me again, or us now.
My NHL team's always been the Caps.
Why?
Because of Ovi. Ovi came and played in Grand Forks when he was with Russia. He played at the East Grand Forks where I grew up. The youth rink there, and we got to skate in the ice with them.
No way.
They played Sweden, and Ovi had the tinted visor, yellow laces. Best player there. You know, it was him and Crosby and Malkin at that tournament. But he was, when they played Team USA at the Ralph, he was skating around USA's side, shooting pucks on their goalie. And
no way.
USA guys were all like, you know, two-handing him in the back of the legs and stuff, and the refs had to come. And I just loved him ever since, and was a Caps fan after that.
That's sick. I didn't even know you grew up like in that area. So you were North Dakota through and through.
Yeah, growing up, pretty much all in North Dakota. So.
That's sick. And you were the captain of the national championship team?
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking sick.
Yeah, it worked out really well. I was committed to Denver at one time, and then thank God I went to the UND.
They got to make a movie after you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to work with Brad Schlossman, try to get a little documentary going, maybe a North Dakota versus Minnesota rivalry documentary.
Mm-hmm.
But
that'd be cool.
Yeah,
I was always a Hawks guy. Ever since Patty Kane came to Mifflin, which was a big block party at the University of Wisconsin, which I grew up 20 minutes outside of, and had chicks. He used to wear a white T-shirt to Mifflin, and he would just have every girl write their number on it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the night, he would have 20, 30 numbers. So Showtime was always my guy. Watching those teams, Duncan Keith. And you know what? That was probably like the first time I actually fell in love with NHL hockey. Before that, it was always just college hockey. My dad, uncles, they went to North Dakota. I was the same with Ozzo growing up watching the Sioux. Yeah, we had season tickets to the Badgers, but it was always the Sioux. So I was a big college hockey guy, Laz, until about 2010. And that's when it took off for watching the NHL and like, wow, this could be a real thing. And, you know, Petty came with the mullet and the racer stripes on the side, just winning cups, just doing everything he did in Chicago. So, yeah. I would say that was kind of my squad, but I wasn't really like a diehard NHL guy. I was more of a college guy, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it's honestly, I ask because like it's cool to hear. Like I didn't grow up around any college hockey. I didn't know what college hockey was, so I was like in 8th grade. Like
Right.
I had no idea. And it's cool to hear like the Midwestern guys talk about it. Like, I wish we had more college hockey in our area. Like,
Yeah.
The
I
first
mean, you guys got
guy-
a ton. There's just so many many pro sports teams. Like for
but
me,
our age group, we didn't have anyone to like look up to in hockey.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think I don't even know who the guy would like be from Long Island to like Chris Higgins maybe and Matt Gilroy, but they were much older than like we were,
Yeah, I just remember the first time I ever saw Danny Heatley play at the University of Wisconsin with that nasty 2-strip tape job. It looked like he just had a pair of Band-Aids on that twig. And he had the flow going. He was so nasty. And then to finally meet him, I played in a charity game this past December in Aspen. Sick. And we had probably a 2-hour talk on the Friday. I was just riding his coattails the whole time because I was back in fanboy mode as like a 13-year-old or whatever it was, or even, I think I was probably like 7 or 8, and I went back in fanboy mode. And I was just like teeter, like, dude, you were unbelievable. Then we got talking on Spez, and the sickest thing he told me that whole weekend, he's like, yeah, like when I was driving to the rink and just playing with Spez, he's just like, it's a pretty good feeling, just walking into the sheet knowing you're gonna have 2 and 1. He's like, I used to just tell Spez, drive it fucking wide, and I'll get in that 10-foot range right around the cage, and I just tell Spez, he's like, if you get me that puck inside 10 feet, it's back bar, top titty all day. And then I gave him a dish. He was so hung in that charity game, and then I gave him a sick dish. We were playing outside the next day. Heater could barely even stand up, and I give him a dish in the second period, and about right at the dot. And he just takes it and just one touches it to himself, like kind of just, and then half clap, back bar, top titty. He comes up to me, goes, "What'd I tell you, kid?" It's just like, it's so sick. So that was always my guy. But that's true, man. You living in Long Island, like there's no, I mean, who are you going to watch? BC, BU, like the
we didn't even get him on TV, really.
Right. You got the Long Island University now.
Yeah. But like,
were you growing up around Dave Starman?
I didn't meet Dave till I was older.
Okay, because he's a big Long Island hockey guy.
Yeah, he's a Long Island guy. He was out in Long Beach, I think, which is like 45 minutes away from me. But no, I wasn't really around him much till I started playing college. That's when I like met him and stuff.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's wild. Like we didn't really I didn't grow up with like a dream college. Like I wasn't even because we don't even have like a cool college near us. Like Syracuse is probably like New York's school. Like fucking 5 hours away.
You were watching Syracuse ball. You were watching
Carmelo.
You were watching Johnny Flynn, Jerry McNamara.
Who was that? Jim Boeheim?
Yep.
Jim Boeheim. Yeah.
Oh, the Big East tournament used to be so sick back in the day. Oh my God. At the Mecca at MSG. Jerry McNamara, one of the sickest point guard white boys of all time, played at Syracuse. Eric Devendorf, too, by the way, if you know.
I don't know those names.
Really?
I didn't know you had a deep history of college ball.
Dude, man, I grew up rocking do-rags, baby. I know ball. I know ball.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know that.
All right, bro. Well, it's just been good shit. You're gonna have to pop on. Hopefully, the Rangers, can make a playoff push here. But that was awesome. We appreciate you taking the time. About an hour here, so that was awesome, Laz.
Whenever you guys need, and whenever you're in New York, hit me up because I need the proper garden tour, I guess.
Yeah, you do. You do need the garden tour. Yeah, we can get you all. Well, I like Locker 24, so that's mine. It's a little bit bigger than the other ones and other things like that. But yeah, we'll get you dialed in with a catalog head to toe.
Beauty.
All right, bro. Thanks for popping on.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.